Hello and welcome to another chat with me. Today's conversation is around customer service and more particularly what not to do. I've had a couple of instances over the last week that has got me a little bit fired up about customer service, obviously, and the capacity, I think, underneath it all is the inability for these business owners to step into my shoes. And potentially cross the board a lot of their customers' shoes. And I think it's really important that we remember that if we aren't considerate of their experience, then potentially we're going to be a bit off-putting. And that's what happened in both of these cases. And as I said, it's not the first time. So my prime peeve about this is the only time I've been contacted by these businesses is when they want me to buy something. There is no contact in between. I am on one email list. I'm not on the other person's email list. They never interact on any social media posts. They never, all of that kind of stuff. There is no contact in between requesting me to buy from them. And even layered underneath that was no consideration for how you're going, hope everything's okay, none of that at all. It was pretty much straight into a sales pitch. And one of them, interestingly enough, I had just received an email from, and the person who leads this company is all interested in creating a white glove experience. And I replied to the message about, as I said, buying this, attending this function, and pretty clearly saying it wasn't a white glove experience. There was no consideration about the country I was living in. There was clearly no research into who I was as a person. Obviously no discussion between, and this is a company that I don't have, I've spoken about before, I've invested in, I can't wait to finish, I've got one payment left, absolutely dying to get out of funding her lifestyle. And all she can do is complain about people like me. But interestingly, the latest email was around creating a white glove experience, also around wanting to make sure that, because a lot of people are coming up for renewal, to get most of them to renew. And I am curious to see what happens there, because I did get asked to be taken off their automated list for being contacted, because I have no interest whatsoever in renewing my relationship with them. So I am curious to see how that goes over the next month. I haven't been contacted so far, but I kind of hint from this email that possibly I shouldn't have, but I will be. So as I said, let's wait and see where that one goes. And it's clear between all these particular company that there is no interaction and capacity to see other messages that I've sent. Because each time I look at it, and like even this one I said, I'm not sure how to answer this, but no, I'm not coming. Was my simple answer, but also reiterated it wasn't a white glove experience from that side of things. So as I said, that was one. But again, even within this container, I am never contacted outside of wanting them for me to either upgrade or buy from them again. And I've been in this container nearly 12 months in September. And as I said, time and time again, I'm only contacted when they want me to buy something, upgrade, buy something, attend something, all of that kind of stuff. Never to check. I have not been checked in with since the start. And I initially thought that was a great process. It was like they made sure you were inducted, they made sure you knew how to go, where to go on their platform, all of that kind of stuff. Since then, nothing, nada, nothing. And no attempt whatsoever to placate my concerns or any of those kind of things. And as I said, the person running it has notoriously, inadvertently made me to feel bad for the way she's made me feel. And no consideration to try and step into my shoes. She made and this is another part of customer service that I'm going to tap into, particularly with this one. Originally created a container to meet a need that she saw was missing from a launch that she had, as I said, almost 12 months ago. Had a lot of feedback saying this wasn't what I want. You know, the primary service wasn't what people were wanting. So she created this one. 6 months in, decided she didn't like the effort she had to put in, and was scaling back across the board. I was now paying up to 10 times the amount other people were paying for the service I got. Product, service, all of that kind of stuff. And on the back end of that, I was made to feel bad for not being, rah, this is what I want, when I was paying a premium price for a product that wasn't premium in any way, shape or form. So went from weekly content down to monthly. The monthly was meant to be equivalent to the weekly. No, hasn't occurred. It has, over the last 3 months, dropped from a nearly 4-hour monthly container to just over an hour. So gone from a 4-hour offer down to a 1-hour offer, and I'm meant to be excited for that. So again, poor customer service. And then, as I said, on the flip side, only contacts me when they want me to buy from them. Now, I've had a couple of other occasions with personal businesses that I know only contacting me when they want to sell something, you know, a retreat, a networking event, you know, all of those kind of things. And both times I have written messages saying I'm unavailable on the days that they're offering these things. Multiple times I've said, sorry, I can't make it. Sorry. Trying to be kind and considerate. The last time I contacted both of these was to be taken off their list, their contact list, because they weren't hearing my answer that I was unavailable. And again, the only time I was getting contacted was when they wanted to sell something. There wasn't the even slightest interest in getting to know me personally, any of those kind of things. One of these in particular, I'd attended a networking event and walked away feeling horrible about myself. Horrible. Felt like I was being judged for choices and decisions that I'd made that, as I said, there was no compassion whatsoever around how I was made to feel in that experience, and yet continue to get contacted by this person to attend their events. It's like, why would I turn up to potentially just be denigrated again, made to feel like my stance around business, although different and I honour my differences, is not accepted, and ganged up on, and all of those kind of things, and made to feel wrong. So, you know, as I said, there are a couple of experiences, and I'm telling you now, if you're a business owner wanting people to buy from you, I highly encourage you in investing in relationships. Getting to know someone, getting to step into their shoes, understand what they're experiencing. And the other thing, if you're on the flip side of this and sitting in my chair and you're experiencing what I'm experiencing, don't feel bad for standing up and creating boundaries. As I said, normally I'm really nice and would just say, sorry, can't attend, I'm in clinic on that day, all of those kind of things. I might even say, I hope you have a great event. As a consequence of the way I have been treated, I don't even do that. So I have become quite blunt, and I'm not apologizing for that. If you don't have the courtesy and consideration to either scroll back through messenger messages and remind yourself of previous answers, then you're not interested in creating a relationship with me. You're just interested in dollars from me. And I'm not interested in working with businesses like that. And I think more and more people are coming that way. Now, another one that I had experienced this morning, which is completely offset from a, you know, more traditional business sense from this kind of thing, is I went and had breakfast with my husband, And we have previously eaten at this cafe, decided we'd had some pretty average experiences recently with just a simple egg and bacon roll, right? You'd think, how hard is that? It seems quite hard. And I get that a lot of businesses are struggling to make dollars, and this is where my point comes in. You cannot charge more and offer less. Let's be clear. I paid more. What did I pay? I paid, I think it was about $5 more than I did 6 months ago, and got worse food. My husband got worse coffee, but we were charged more. Sorry, that doesn't equate. We won't be going back to that cafe again. Pretty much crossed off. We've crossed off a couple of others because for various other quality reasons, but never for being charged too much and receiving poor quality. So hubby and I really don't have a problem with paying for quality. We appreciate, again, small businesses are doing it tough here, but I can almost guarantee you that these businesses are going, I don't understand why business is quiet. And it's just like, yeah. So I wouldn't have even minded if we'd been charged more for the same quality, but I'm definitely disappointed in being charged more for poorer quality. So egg quality down, bun quality down, bacon quality down, across the board. Slight sliver. My tea was better. I don't drink coffee, as a tidbit, but yeah. So I think this is, I've noted it across a couple of food eateries and stuff like that. $1 here, $1 there, you know, all of those kind of things. You know, even for the same quality, I'm fine with that. I get that the costs are going up and all of those kind of things. But as I said, definitely making a stand when it comes to paying more for less. And hence the same for the container that I'm in, that I am paying a premium price and now receiving way less than what I was. And as I said, I can't look forward enough to not funding her 7-figure lifestyle. So I know I'm going to be small fry in the system, but it's me making a stand. I want you to honour your stand. You might have different criteria, all of that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing you need to remember is how are you making the person feel in front of you? That's what customer service is all about. That is what gets people back in the door. If you want return service, return customers, consider them above and beyond your own element of self, I'm going to say. I'm not saying here to rule yourself out. Like if you're burning out, then, yep, you've probably got to make changes then. But as I said, with that container I've been in for 12 months, I was never offered a get out clause once those changes were made. All she needed to do was go, you know what, Sarah, I understand I'm significantly changing the program. I understand that you may not want to continue in it. She had no concern. She was just after my dollars. I'm convinced of it. You're not going to change my mind in any way, shape or form, because someone who holds on to my dollars, even when I've asked, can I get out, and not be offered it, and continue to take my money, knowing that I am paying nearly 10 times more than someone else for the same service, someone would call me a sucker, and that's how I've felt. So again, reminding you that it's about how you make people feel is whether they're possibly going to choose to return and respond. Now, I also get, and I will place a caveat on this, we are not for everyone. I understand my massage service isn't for everyone. There will be those customers who sit in front of me and don't like my service. Completely get that. But I'm never forcing them to return. They get to choose whether they return. And it's the same with the cafe owner. I get to choose whether I return. They get to choose what service and products they provide. And then it's up to us as a consumer whether we return or not. But I will make a statement, as I said, if you cannot step into the shoes of the person sitting in front of you, and consider how they're receiving your service and whatnot, then I don't think you can expect to be in an industry that requires return customer service. I have clients I have been treating for over 20, we're tapping on 22 years for a couple of them, quite a few, 10 plus years, who continue to return to receive my service. And a large majority of that is because I remember the little things. I remember stories of their family. I remember whether they've been on holidays. I listen to what they're saying to me about their body. You know, a core question of mine is, how is the body going, right? Because I'm a body practitioner. That layered with, if I hear the word stress come out, I'll dive into that because that's highly informative for me. You know, anything, you know, from that side of things I will dive into. My work is layered, and I understand that the people sitting in front of me are layered, all of those kind of things. But as I said, I also do honour the fact that we're not for everybody. But yeah, so as I said, I think there's an element of forgetting what customer service actually is, and more so if you're wanting return custom. Consider heavily how you're treating the person sitting in front of you. So the difference with the container I'm in, if I was offered a get out of clause, I would still think would be sitting here probably praising the content that she has to offer. But as a consequence of having to pay and continue to pay for the last 6 months, that is no longer where I stand. She is not someone I wish to invest my dollars in. She is not someone I will spruik about. Not that, as I said, I don't do testimonials. I don't give them out for businesses, generally speaking. And that's not because they're bad or good or whatever. And hence why I haven't named names, done any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, as I said, however, if someone personally asked me, then I would, you know, share my experience, and you can make your choices out of that experience, because as I said, some might say I was a sucker, and as a manifesting generator, sacral authority, I have definitely learnt that I will not be investing in any more 12-month containers, first and foremost, because two things: I change and you change. And if I don't have the option of getting out whenever I want, I'm not interested in it. There's a couple of containers I'm in. It's paid month by month. I can cancel at any time. I haven't wanted to. And so this isn't, as I said, it's about my experience, first and foremost as a customer. And so hence why I'm on here having that conversation. But I think I've said enough. First, let's round this out as a complete conversation, that if you're wondering why people aren't returning, consider how you're treating them first. Second, can you step into their shoes through your experience? Like somebody coming to me, having a treatment, like I even ask when I come back in the room, like it's another part that I honour, is that I always come back into the room at the end to ask them how they went. How they choose to answer is their choice, right? And I'm not here to pressure you to answer in any way, shape or form, but I've been to other practitioners who don't come back into the room. They expect me to meet them at the front and try and have a personal conversation in a public space. I don't ever do that to my clients. That is always done in privacy. So there's even those kind of experiences. I haven't gone back to them. It's a boundary I'm setting that, who I choose to work with has to honour my privacy. So a couple of other things. Can you stand in the person you're serving? Feet, shoes, and go, how do I think they received my experience, my service? And was it up to the standard that I would want to receive myself? And second, was it worth it, so to speak, from a dollar value point of view? So yeah, so a couple of things to consider from a customer service base, and as I said, a couple of suggestions what not to do. Don't overcharge and underdeliver is the core of both of those experiences between the cafe and personal business experiences. That would be the primary thing. And just be mindful about what you are offering and do you have the capacity for it, without pressuring somebody into feeling like they've got to buy from you, or that they don't have a get out option or any of those kind of things, because you're hell bent on making the dollar. Remember, a person will remember that you have made them feel like a dollar and not a person. So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully it triggers some of your own personal insights. As I said, you might have your own boundaries to cross, to draw a line in the sand and say no more. And just, as I said, honor your experience. And if you're a business owner watching this, honor your experience. Don't sit back and pretend that you're giving A grade service when you're actually giving D grade, and trying to hide it behind a story of people aren't coming back. Why aren't they coming back? Why don't they want what I have? Oh, I'm offering exceptional service, but only to a small percentage of people and only at a premium cost, and all of those kind of things. So if somebody's even only paying $1, they deserve to be respected and honoured for the dollar they're giving you, is also one way of looking at it. But yeah, definitely don't overpromise and underdeliver and overcharge on the back end of that. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks.